Bruce, who's going to introduce our main speaker for the evening.
Some confusion on the workshop. When you said up, so it was supposed to start at 9:30 this morning.
Okay, so we can have some clarity on the workshops. They were supposed to start at 9:30. They've been moved back to 10:30. So they will not start until 10:30. Does everybody understand that?
Show of hands.
I'm an addict. My name Bruce W. And I'm about to introduce. I last heard this addict share, and he said something that really stuck out to me, and it sticks out to me today. He said addicts with multiple years of clean time, 17, 13, 8, 9, 10, relapse because they forget about this is just for the day program. Without no further ado from me, I give you Stan S. from Atlanta, Georgia.
My name is Stan and I'm an addict. There was a lady who woke up one morning and shook her son and said, "Boy, wake up, it's time to go to school." He didn't say nothing. She shook him again. She said, "Boy, wake up, it's time to go to school." He still didn't say nothing. She said, "I'm gonna shake you one more time, boy, you better get up. It's time to go to school." He turned around and he said, "Mom, I'm not going to school today." She said, "Why?" He said, "They don't like me, they talk about me." She said, I heard the kids talking about me, and then I heard the teachers talking about me. She said, "Boy, you going to school." And he said, "Mom, why?" She said, "Number one, you're 41 years old. And she said, "Number two, you're the principal." Right now, there's somebody somewhere with a pipe in their mouth, a spike in their arm, and a drink in their hand, crying out how to stop and don't know how. Think about what you got. I got a disease of self-pity, a disease of self-hate, a disease that make you think it doesn't exist. For the newcomer, I'm grateful for you being here because you remind me how it used to be. And for those who are coming back, I'm grateful for you because through your experiences, I know how vulnerable I am. The reason why people with time pick up is they got too many years and too little days. They forget about the day. All that adds up to right now. I came from a world of excitement. I came from a world of depression. I came from a world of rage. I was excited when I got the first hit. I was depressed when I was down to the last one. I was enraged when I couldn't get another one. And still clean, I still live in the world of excitement. I still live in the world of depression. I still live in the world of rage. I'm excited when things go my way. I'm depressed when they don't. I'm enraged and I can't do a damn thing about it. I'm grateful for being here. Grateful addicts don't get high. You can't smoke and smile at the same time. Grateful addicts also support their convention. They register. They register. You can't put on the convention. People say it ain't about money, but you live in this society, you know what it's about. You know what it's about. Register, keep your convention going. You can't always talk about a resurrection before you say something about a crucifixion. Let me share something with you. I smoke crack, a drug named after part of your ass. I came from New Orleans, Louisiana. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, but I got clean in New York City, January 21st, 1986. I was introduced to this program in Los Angeles, California in 1982. I started freebasing, 1979 in Houston, Texas. I was 23 years old. I was married at the time. I didn't know what rehab was about back then. We used to go in rehab for rest. That's what we thought rehabs were for. You go in there, collect state disability, and you get out. Back in the 80s, you can go in there every 21 days, 45 days. They used to pay for it. We used to get out. But see, I didn't know it was a little lady named Judy Ann. I got to call her name. I add a name because I let you know I'm not in this by myself. This little lady named Judy told me in South Bay Hospital in Los Angeles, California, she said, you know, we done messed your using up. I said, what you talking about? I said, it's about your third time. I was smiling. You know, she said, oh no, you ain't gonna be satisfied till you one of those that's I gotta go all the way to the bottom. You gonna have to eat out of garbage can. Have on one green tennis shoe and one yellow tennis shoe with no teeth in your mouth, and you gonna be satisfied. But when I came here in 1986, I had on one brown sock, one black sock. That's close. That's close. And she said to me, she said, you know why? I say, why? And every time I would use, all of a sudden, I was hiding the dope from the only person who knew where it was at. You know, I was peeping out the window. You know, I was seeing things, and I can remember running back to the rehab. She said, you know why you coming back to the rehab? I say, why? She said, because it ain't working. Once you plant a seed, it don't need your permission to grow. The program gonna work on your ass better out there, Stan. She said, because now you know. Now you know. That's what she told me. And from 1979 to 1986, I stayed out there. I went in rehabs. I sponsored folks that were clean. I didn't have a day. See, this is a disease that make your mouth 10 years ahead of your life. You'll be quoting stuff you ain't even nowhere near practice. You ain't even clean. So you can easily quote. See, the rhetoric come up this program. In 30 days, I went from Frankenstein to Einstein. In 30 days, I went that way. In 30, had the pipe in my pocket in the meetings. I'm sharing with you, sharing clean, living dirty. I'm sharing with you how I had 2 different clean times going to another fellowship in 1982 because they wasn't there telling them I got 3 days off drinking, but 10 days off the pipe. I collected so many chips you can play checkers with. But I didn't realize that alcohol was taking me back to what I like. See, because at the bottom of the glass is a lot of rocks. And it was taking me back. So I understood the statement that they came up with, why you don't say the clean and sober thing. Because I was one that was using that as an advantage to do both. Go back. All I was doing was going back and forth, playing with my own life. Playing with my own life. I came up in the 60s with the Temptations and Jimi Hendrix. You know, that's what I came from, Purple Haze and Slide the Family Stone and Carlos Santana, Oye Como Va. You know, that's where I came from. And the Rolling Stones used to sing about Sister Morphine and Cousin Cocaine. And Eric Clapton used to say, she's all right, she's all right, she's all right. Yeah. See, that's where I came from. See, I came from that time at Kent State University, Vietnam, methadone. When folks used to throw up and come up smiling, my dad used to ride me in New Orleans and say, that dope have them throwing up, and they smiling. And they would go down this far, don't hit the ground, and bounce right back up. And he couldn't understand that, but he was an alcoholic. He drank himself to death. And my mother went to church, and I didn't want either one of their lifestyles. See, I picked up the pipe before I picked up a drink. I smoked marijuana before I smoked a cigarette. I've been clean longer than I used. I've been clean longer than I used. I use for effect. If you ask me, give me a reason why you use, I couldn't tell you. See, all addicts use for the same reason. Any reason. Any reason. So I can't dissect stuff because, you know, in the 60s, they were whipping your ass in school. They were whipping, there wasn't no child abuse. Where was that shit in the 60s? They didn't have none of that. It seemed to work, you know, because a lot of them folks are straight. You know, so I don't know. You know, all I can know is to tell you that what works for me, what didn't work for me. I was brought to Narcotics Anonymous. The addicts came and got me. They showed up for 90 days. A man brought me from Chicago. He brought me in New York City to a meeting. I wanted to use every day. I didn't realize that dope was covering up how I really felt. And they came and they sit with me. I was raised by old timers. It was my big sisters that taught me about my doggish ways. They told me that the 3 inches below your belt will get better than the 3 inches above your neck. Ain't nothing you got we want. You don't have nothing. See, we want you to realize you ain't shit. You ain't got nothing we want. You don't have nothing. And they beated that in me because I kept thinking that they liked me. And what they did, they showed me a better way. It was you who took me by the hand and showed me how to grow. It was through you that I saw this program. See, when you said something about you, only then did I take a look at myself. Only then. I saw the suicides of people's kids in the room, and it didn't pick up, and I couldn't figure that out. I saw them lose kids, lose families, and they didn't use. And they was telling me, no matter what you do, you don't use. Whatever you go through in life, and if God don't take your life, you'll be okay. You don't pick up, you'll become a stronger and a better person. And what he did told me was that God will take a natural act to make a spiritual point. And that's what he was doing in the room. He was showing through your experiences, I saw what I can do. See, they showed me, they said there's speakers and there's soldiers. Speakers speak, but soldiers through the trials and tribulations of your life will show you what God has already done. That's what they told me. They said Narcotics Anonymous don't need lawyers. It needs witnesses. Are you one? Can you tell the truth? Nothing but the truth. So help you God. That's what they told me when I came in January 21st, 1986, because I worked for an airline and I was a thief. If y'all didn't get y'all luggage, guess who got it? Guess who got it? If something was missing, guess who got it? If it wasn't there, guess who got it? See, so when I got clean, all that stuff just didn't go away. I was dealing with some emotional things when I got here. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. My anger was at an all-time high. But it was the heat from your heart that melted the ice that was in my veins. It was you who showed me what to do. This program is for the many. It's for the many, it was for the many, but it's for the few who shows up that works in their life. This is a program of choice. And what I learned from my mother, there was a hurricane, right? My mother is my biggest advocate of recovery. My mother said, y'all so powerful. Y'all so powerful. Y'all help each other out and don't even know each other's last name. So y'all be years knowing each other and don't even know don't know each other's last name. There was a hurricane down south that was coming that way named Ivy. So she had to pack up all the folks, got my uncle out the old folks' home, and I called her up, and she was there smiling. She said, we heading for the hills. Said, there's a storm coming, big old storm, but it never went to New Orleans, it went to Alabama. But at that time, we getting on up here. We're going to get the highest room we can get. We done packed everything. I don't know how this house going to be. She said, I don't know how everything going to be. I can't tell you the outcome of the wreck. She said, but one thing I can tell you is this. She said, I don't care how big this storm is. I don't care how powerful it is, how bad it's supposed to be. One thing I do know, it can't stay. She said, no storm comes and stays. I don't care how bad it is, it's got to go. And she said to me, she said, but in the right frame of mind, the right attitude, we will recover, son. I don't know if my house will be here, but as long as I'm living, as long as I'm breathing, God is still on my side. That's what she said. God is still on my side. See, I learned from her how recovery is. Because, you know, a crackhead like me, walking the streets, New York City, I came out the streets. All I did was come out straight out the streets. I thought I was going to die. But what happened, you got me to realize that all them rehabs and all that was beginning to work on me in the streets. I was sitting at a table. I finally realized that we didn't have no lights. I didn't never notice that before. Mm-hmm. See, I said I was going to only spend $10. I spent $100. See, because this is easy. Have you spending thousands and thousands of dollars to do stuff that's free? It's free to walk the streets all night. It's free. You didn't do that till it was over. It's free to look on the floor. That's free. You can come in anybody's house and look on the floor. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars to do stuff that was free. Free. And I never realized that. I never realized that till that night. You can go any place and the lights don't be on. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars to go to a place that had no lights, no running water. People paid for that for the top hotel rooms here. I would get on a flight and go straight to somebody's basement. Free. Never been there before. Didn't care what color you are. Ain't that strange about color? I was hearing somebody saying today, you had some dope, but we were down. You was my brother. Now when the dope ran out, it might have been another story. And that was the same for me, because I spent thousands and thousands of dollars and got kicked out of people's house. Spent all my money, and they said I had to go. No more. No, you got to go, baby. is realize, see, the attic is like a banana. The attic is like a banana. You ever see a banana in the bunch? It's safe. If you ever see a banana pulled away from the bunch, it's in trouble. It's about to get peeled. You never see a single banana on the shelf. Tell me if you ever see, it's always, when you pull it from the bunch, they peeling it. They peeling it. And that's how attic is. That's how my disease is. I grew up with an old timer, right? And the old timer used to always say, this is not a bad disease to have as long as you take care of it. Because if you don't take care of it, it will one day take care of you. It will. All you gotta do, don't pick up. Make meetings. Talk about what's going on with you and try to help another human being. Very simple, but it ain't simple to do all the time. See, I had a friend of mine had a big snake, a gigantic snake. It's called a rock python. It wasn't big when he bought it. And what happened, one day, the snake hit him. It was trying to kill him. It grew to be 10 feet long, about 65, 70 pounds. It's a huge snake. And the snake hit him. Now, he called me up on the phone. This is a regular guy now. Regular guy. He ain't one of us. But I'm listening to him as my disease. I learned to turn things into my disease through the 11th step. So what he was doing, the snake hit him. He stumbled out in the street. Stumbled out in the street, this big ass snake on him. Everybody was getting out of the way. He fighting this big ass snake. It happened that two white guys passed by, saw what was going on. They pulled the snake off. Everybody was taking pictures, video camera. They watched. Two white guys pulled the snake off. He called me up. He was in tears. He said, snake hit me. People I thought wouldn't even never have nothing to do with me helped me. Pulled the snake off me. See, in our society, if you slip up, you get caught up. It's called being caught in a grip. He was caught in a grip. But when you caught in a grip, you don't know who hand God gonna call to save your ass. He was very grateful from that point on. He called him in there to drink some coffee. He still didn't want to kill the snake. And they were looking at him like he was crazy, he was telling them. And he was showing them pictures that he took with the snake with this small, he's smiling, snake wrapped around his arm. Snake wrapped around his leg, snake even wrapped around his stomach. And he ain't doing nothing. You know what they told him? It was practicing all the time. See, you forgot that it was a snake. The snake didn't forget. And he doing what he was supposed to do, kill your ass. See, he didn't realize that. See, he forgot. See, I have a disease that hides in ambush and it waits on my negative behavior. Years. It waits on my negative behavior. Snake just waited for his time. Sized him up till he got big enough. And then he went on it. Because if you don't grow, the disease still growing. You can stay where you at. It's not staying where it's at. It'll come at you in many ways. See, if it don't get you, its cousins will. See, we face a disease in all its foot soldiers. We've been through stuff and we still survive. We got something in us that no virus could ever erase, no bayonet could ever tear, no bullet could ever shatter. We're the recovering addict. And together we'll make it. If we don't stick together one by one, we'll damn sure die one by one. Big shot, little shot, one shot, we all shot. I noticed the great Ray Charles, he just passed. He never been able to make good music if he only played the white keys. He never been able to make good music if all he played was the black keys. But he couldn't even see, and he was able to play them together. And that's why he was able to sing Georgia on My Mind. Watch his hands. Music is made when you play them both together, not separate. Diversity is the key, I learned in here. The military is the most powerful thing in the world. How could you see them separated? They all wear different colors. Separated by themselves, they could not win a war. Put them together, they're awesome fighting machine. That's how we are the recovering addict. We are doctors, lawyers, jackleg, preachers, teachers. This is the only place where a banker may have to listen to a bank robber to save his life. This is the only place where a teacher may have to listen to a whore off the street to save her life. It's the only place. I was in New York and I shared my experience, Strength and Hope. I'm an experienced Strength and Hope share. I share in parables. I graduated out of college at 20 years old. My father made sure of that, but I still made it here in the rooms. I was a full-blown addict there. I can't even remember what I did when I was there. I was smoking reefer, taking acid back then and there, and at that time, and I sold heroin to Vietnam vets to pay my way through college. And that's how I made it through college, doing that. And they told me the war stories of Vietnam. I remember when my father on his deathbed, and they scared me to death when he told me he was an addict. Finally, he told me. I used to pass him a meeting list. He used to pass it back. I used to pass him a meeting list, and he used to pass it back. And I said, you need to go to meetings. He said, no, you need to go to meetings. I said, why you say that? He said, because I never said I had a problem. See, I never said I had a problem. See, all addicts will stop using one day. But will they stop before they're dead? None of us gonna get out of this alive. The name of the game is just not to be caught wrong. That's just the name of the game. And he went out that way, got his hair cut right before he died. And my mama looked at me and told me, say, aren't you glad you go to those junkie get-togethers now? See, that's what she shared with me. She shared that with me. She said, I'm so happy. She said, I love O. Henry, but I ain't trading places with him. Everything they told her he should do, she did it. Everything. She followed. She told me, she said, alcohol didn't take him out. His lifestyle did. She said, alcohol didn't take him out. She said, dope don't kill the addict. Denial does. The dope don't kill him. She said, denial does. She said, your anger may get you in trouble, son, but it's your pride that keep you there. Get rid of that pride. I was watching the Titanic. You seen Titanic? Y'all seen Titanic? Pride. The band kept playing when the boat was sinking. That's all I saw. The band kept playing. He was thinking the boat was tilting. Should we play another? Either denial or pride, to pick either one, but they were going down with the ship. People were jumping overboard, and they still was playing. And I said to myself, I said, that's what it is. That's what pride. I said, that's you. Holding on to the end. They say stay. Losers and winners both give up. You know the difference of the two? Losers give up and leave, and winners give up and stay. That's the difference in the two. That is the difference in the two. You know, it started with a man named Jimmy Kay. A lot of us don't know about Jimmy Kay. It started with Jimmy Kay. A program written by man, inspired by God. Jimmy Kay. Who dropped a rock in the water, and the ripple from the wave can still be felt today. Why? Because it took other people to drop their rocks in the water. You dropped yours, she dropped hers, he dropped his. Now what started out as a stream is now a mighty river that flows through this country to every city in the states, to every state in the country, to every city even in the world. For anybody that's thirsty for a new way of life, I have a place to drink. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But at least it's there for those who choose to take that drink. That's how it was for me. When the old timers told me to sit up and shut, they weren't saying shut up, they were saying shut the F up back then. People got a problem with that now, no cursing, and maybe the rules ain't got a hold of it for them. That's their business. But when that day they said you shut the F up and you listen, you close your mouth and you open your ears. That's what you do in here. Because this is a program of hope. And I'll tell you what hope is. Hope. There was a man climbing Mount Everest. He wanted to climb it by himself. They didn't want no help. Typical me. I can do it. If there's only one wrong way to work this program, that's by yourself. I can tell you one person not to listen to, that's your damn self. I can't tell you about nobody else, but one person not to listen to, that's your damn self. But he wanted to climb Mount Everest by himself. Little people called Sherpas, they know the route. See, they know the route. But he said he was gonna get up. He was doing a good job till it got dark. But he could see the top. Didn't want to take it easy, does it? Didn't want to stop. So he kept climbing in the dark. And he slipped, but he had a rope. Rope was hope. Nailed the rope. Boom, he fell out. Boom, there he's hanging. Right there on the rope. All of a sudden, now in the dark, he finally asked God for some help. He said, Lord, help me. A little voice said, cut the rope. What? Cut the rope. Hell no. He's hanging. They found him that morning dead. hanging like this here. He could have stood up and walked away, but he wouldn't cut the rope. He was holding on, wouldn't cut the rope. Why? Because he couldn't see. See, faith ain't nothing but hope in the dark. That's all it is. It's hope in the dark. Prayer ain't nothing but faith with a voice. That's all it is. He could have walked away, but you see, he didn't have no faith. He wouldn't cut the rope. He was bending like this here. If he'd have stood up, but he couldn't see, so he wouldn't cut the rope. If it's hard for you to get rid of something, hold on to it as hard as you can until the pain gets great enough, then you'll let it go. Then you let it go. That's what the old timers told me. Oh, you can't let something go? Hold on to it as tight as you can till the pain gets so great, you let it go. Because there's only two ways a dolphin gonna change. Either you see the light or feel the damn heat. There's only two ways an addict gonna change. What got you here? Ain't none of that old talking got you here. Something brought your ass in here. It was on fire, or you saw something happen to somebody else, and you said, I ain't going that route, buddy. I'm getting on in here. See, there's only two ways that an addict will change is that way. See, I know that from my own experiences in here. I got 18 years clean. It took 22 years for me to get 18. For 4 years, I was in these rooms, struggling, doing everything I wanted to do, suffering my ass, because ain't nothing worse than a belly full of drugs and a mind full of NA. Ain't nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse going on than that. If life is a jigsaw puzzle, then Narcotics Anonymous is the missing piece. See, you can't hope and do at the same time. Hope is a great thing, but you can't sit here in that seat and just be hoping all the time. See, sometime down the line, you got to do. If your car got a flat outside and you walk out there, you cannot say, I hope it gets fixed. If you don't do something about it, it will still be there this time. God will help you. He will give you the tools, but you got to do the work. You can sit here all you want and never change. Because one thing constant in life is change. But I can sit here all I want, sit right in these seats, and never go nowhere, still be right here. Same old person, a spiritual bum. Spiritual as I want, bummy as I want to be. See, I've learned that in Narcotics Anonymous. I've learned that here, through you people, through the grace of God and you loving people. I got another shot at life, and I'm taking advantage of the shot. This is the healing stream. This is the healing stream. Recovery is an inside job. It is an inside job. Happiness is impossible to find outside and hard to keep inside. Things are constantly moving. This is a heart trip. This is a language of the heart. It was my head that tried to kill me, and it was my heart that saved me. It was my heart. It's what you all who showed me how to do. Each and every one of you, the recovering addict. I come here because there's sisters and brothers I haven't met yet. I have a sponsor who shared with me. He didn't tell me that he was my God. What he told me is you listen to what goes on in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. I went to step meetings. He told me that 2 books a newcomer never leave home without. One is a meeting book and one is a telephone book. A meeting book will tell you where to go and a telephone book will tell you who to call. They said to me, keep a penny in your pocket because a penny will save your life. I said, how can a penny save my life? I can't make no phone calls with a penny. He said, no, you look at a penny and there are 4 words on it. In God we trust. And he said, you pull it out of your damn pocket and you look at it. See, these were the tools they gave me when you were on the streets of New York City. See, when we walked out the meeting of New York, we didn't have no fields like that. The girls would cross the street. They didn't have no underwear on. They'd pull their dress up, and the steps went out the window there. Let me be realistic here. I came from a world of prison chances and lap dances. That's where I came from. And when they were right outside the meeting in New York. So they told me when you come out that meeting, you got to have something to walk with. You got to be able to say no in your heart, not with your mouth. See, because you say you don't follow a man's voice, you follow his feet. His feet don't tell you the direction that he's going. See, because you can be thinking of you can be thinking of doing something wrong, walking the right way. So you can be talking about doing right instead of be there doing wrong. See, so when we came out of the meeting, they said, this is what you have to do. So they shared with me that's why this penny will save your life. Because you look at that penny when things go wrong. Because when you caught out there in the grip, you ain't going to open up no book. You ain't going to read no pamphlet. One day there's going to be something, the only thing between you and the first one is a God and you understand. So it's all going to be between you and the first one. This is not a religious program. I was quickly known that when they talked about God, they talked about their addiction. They connected God with their addiction. That way I knew it wasn't church. You see, that's how I knew, because you know, Sunday's the most separate day of the year. And follow me if you think I'm lying. The Baptist goes over here, the Catholic goes over there, the Lutheran goes over here. They all go their separate way to worship their God. Nothing's wrong with that. Let them take a hit. All their ass in here. Let them take a hit. They're all in here saying the same thing. Why? Because it works. Because it works. All of them in here. They got different names. They got all this here. I'm Abdul, I'm Salud, I'm La, Lu. They all that, but they come right here. Because it works. It works in spite of you. It works. This program works. It works. You give yourself a break. Give yourself a chance, and the chance is what you get. Because if you don't like it, wherever you come from, we'll take you back. This is a disease. It will take you places you don't need, no reservations. Jails, institutions in debt, they'll build a jail before they build a school. That's right. They'll build a home for the dope fiend. It's called penitentiaries. They count our numbers. It's called statistics. They even build monuments to the dope fiend. They're called tombstones. They build them for that. Who don't give himself a chance. I learned that by coming in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. It was not easy for me. It was not easy. I understand for those who struggle in the rooms, because you can't rush and struggle at the same time. It was very slow for me, because when a slow one get it, they got it. See, they told me that, and I felt good with that, because I suffer from this AD. They didn't have that shit, but they call it ADS, AD, whatever kind of stuff, attention deficit syndrome and all that there. Well, I suffer from that. I wander all over the place, you know. Even in school, I wandered. I didn't know what was going on, but I ended up going through college, even though I suffered through that. I found out later that that's what it was. So everything for me, when I read it, I got to practice it. So these folks that can do it in 5 weeks, see, I couldn't get it that way. That's why I know God had to put me back then when folks took their time for me. They didn't tell me how much it was laid out. They reached out. See, they gave me rides in the car, and when I got my car, I was able to give rides. And they told me that that's what you do. You do that to keep the newcomer coming. The most important person is the newcomer. A person may not remember what you say, but I'll be damned if they remember the way you make them feel. So people will stay here by the way they feel. See, so that's how I was able to stay in Narcotics Anonymous. With the addict that gave me a ride. And it wasn't as great or as educated as I was, but I saw a surgeon have a sponsor with an 8th grade education. And I was trying to figure out how could he have a sponsor. He said, I didn't get him to take me through all this. He said, I could remove tumors out of people's head, but can't remove the compulsion to use out of my own. And then when he said to me, he said, God would take a dumbass to show a smart ass that he's a jackass. And that's how I learned about what this program was about. And then I saw a man with cerebral palsy. He could not move his arms. He was in the rooms. But he was riding everybody around. And he said, you know what the strongest muscle in the body is? He said, it ain't the arms. He said, it ain't the legs. He said, it's the heart. The most powerful muscle in the human body is the heart. He said, when the conditions of your heart change, the conditions of your life will change. God will not remove what you have, but he'll keep you going with what you got. You see, that's why he had more peace in a wheelchair strapped driving addicts around than I had with everything working. And then he was telling me, he said, because my heart is all right, Stan. I'm at peace of how I am. Are you at peace? I said, no. No, I can't be at peace watching what you do. He said, well, find it. You must work on your insides. He said, if you work on a problem, the problem gets bigger. You got to work on the solution. You don't work on no problem. You work on the solution. If you got a headache, you're working on the headache don't get bigger. He said, you must work on the solution. That's how I learned about getting into it. It was the old timers who showed me the way. I had an old car. I had to file bankruptcy my first year. It took me 10 years to pay the IRS off. It took me 10 years to pay them off. I was in front of federal grand juries. I was in the federal court raising my hand clean. I did this using. It came up into my 6th year clean. I'm paying them off. It took me 10, I paid them off. Because what I've learned about it, you can't talk your way out of some shit that you behave your way into. This ain't a program of talk when it comes to the IRS. They don't want to hear that clean shit. That man told me, I don't give a damn how clean you are. You gonna pay us our money. You gonna pay us. IRS will wake you up. You want a reality check? Mess with them cats. Fool with them cats. It took me 10 years. I had to pay them folks $500 a month for 10 years. All that I stole and smoked up, let me tell you this here. I paid them all. The disease is like David Copperfield, a magician, make shit disappear. Everything you got could fit in the stem of a syringe. Everything you got could fit in that thing. Everything I had could fit in that little stem. The disease will make everything go up in smoke. Poof. It will disappear. And when you left with the records of your past, because when you slow down, everything else catches up. I mean, I was clean and happy and jumpers and free, and they showed up on my job. Sit down. We've been looking for you. You finally slowed down. Now, I went from New Orleans to Houston to LA to New York to Atlanta. They were chasing me from Houston, LA to New York. When I got clean and finally filing taxes, that's when they were able to zero it out. And they zeroed right in. Then I went to Atlanta. They came knocking on the door in Atlanta. They said, you got to go to court in New York, the wreckage of my past. And I was paying them before they even came. This was more money that came up. I didn't even remember. There was money coming that I didn't even take. I turned down. The program taught me to get honest. And then they showed me that I got honest. That's when they told me all that right then and there. That right then and there, this is what you have to do. And I did it. I paid them off 10 years, filed bankruptcy, paid them off. And let me tell you, as I was doing, I wasn't struggling, whining, and crying. I was happy I was doing the good thing. Because there had people that, believe it or not, that was worse than me. If you think you got it bad, there's somebody in here got it worse than you. And they walking through. And I was walking through it. And I was paying them. And I went to court and raised my hand and didn't lie this time. Told them the truth. They cut me loose. They convicted the other guy. They cut me loose, let me go. And what I'm trying to say is that this program works. Patience is a pill. Patience is a fruit. Who taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. Stick with it. And I stuck with it. And I paid them folks off. By my 10th year, I was out of all that, and I was grateful for that. I was very grateful for that. And that's what I've learned from that. Because they told me straight off the top that, look here, man, we don't want your job. We realize you've been doing all right. I didn't have no record. I've never been in no penitentiary. I can't tell you nothing about a shotgun and all that. All I thought guns was something you blow smoke through. That's what I use them for. We blew smoke on the other end, he blew smoke back. That's what it was. We were blowing smoke to one end, he was blowing smoke to the other. Other than that, I don't know nothing about that stuff. But one thing I realized about this disease, that guy didn't have nothing in his house but a gun. The disease will take away everything you got except the things that'll bring you back to it. It won't take away the things that'll bring you back to it. You got to remove those things. It'll keep those things in your life that'll bring you back to it. All them other stuff, it'll take away your money, it'll take away your wife, it'll take away your job, it'll take away your dignity, it'll take away your self-respect, but it won't take away the desire to bring you back to it. You lose all that and still be walking back limping back to it, crawling back to it. The minute something go wrong in your life, the first person you hurt is yourself. Other people could be going something wrong. First person I hurt is myself. I came from a group of people who just didn't pray to the sky. They looked inside themselves, they looked around themselves, and they got busy. They didn't like what they saw, they didn't like the way they felt, and they did something about it. I came from you, the recovering addict. That's what I loved about with Narcotics Anonymous. I cannot get up here and just share it's everything's all right in my life. And I suffer from diabetes and a lot of other stuff, but they told me it's a treatable disease. That's why you see me break into the restroom back and forth. They say, it's a treatable disease. See, I got friends of mine that passed on with the virus. I got friends of mine walking with it today, and they're walking with it. And they looked at me, and they told me, you can walk with whatever you got, as long as your attitude changed towards it. Because this is a journey, and two things you need on a journey. You need a vehicle, and you need fuel. The vehicle is the program, and the fuel is your attitude. What you put in your vehicle is going to determine how it's going to run. If you put in bad fuel, then it's going to run bad. But if you put in what you're supposed to put in and you maintain it, then you'll be all right. This is a maintenance thing, too. That's what this program has given me. It has given me the right to freedom. It has given me the right to be free, the freedom of choice. I got my neighbor, and my neighbor next door to me said, I got a neighbor today, cutting trees and shit. You know where I come from, you smoking, you broke. You ain't cutting no trees. You hiding behind the trees, peeping, and the person you peeping from are right next to you. Person you hiding from, he right next to you. Hey, you looking at, you thinking he crossed the street, you peeping. And I got these pine trees, and in Georgia, pine trees fall. So I called this little guy out there, and I wanted him to see what kind of pine trees to cut down. Now, I don't know much about trees. So he telling me, he must have been in the program. And I got this one gigantic tree that sits straight in the middle back, this big. I go back and look at it. It's tall as this, about 70 feet. And I got a bunch of small ones stuck together. There's a bunch over here, they together, about 30 trees. 70-foot pine trees, about 30 trees. So I see these here stuck together. I said, they may fall on my house. And then I see the big one back there, so I'm gonna leave that alone. So I told him what I wanted, and he asked me, he said, do you take suggestions? I said, yeah. He said to me, he said, see these ones, they all in the group right here? I said, yeah. He said, they okay, because they together. He said, their roots intertwined, so when the storm hits, they gonna lean on each other. They ain't coming away, they got strength from each other. But you see that big one back there? I said, yeah. I said, I suggest you get that one out of there. I say, why? He said, because it's by itself. He said, when the storm hit it, it's coming. It may look like it's all right, but that's just the surface. It don't have nothing to lean on. He says, just like people. That's what he told me. He was chewing tobacco, spitting. People who got people, the most wonderful people in the world. That's what he said. People who got people, the most wonderful people in the world. But you see the ones who don't have nobody? It's a sad thing because they got to depend on their own thing. And say, I suggest you get that big one back there out of the way. Leave these little ones right here stuck together. They're going to be fine. See, I thought I knew. So what he was trying to tell me is that when the storm comes, they were going to be all right. And the big one, I would have to get out of here. That's how it is for us in these rooms. Each one need one. Each one lean on one. When the time comes, I know what I have to go. I know what I have to do. I know how it is. See, my mother told me, she's 83 years old, there's 5 of us. She said to me, out of all y'all, you're the only one I don't have to worry about. She said, because when I leave you, your junkie friends never will. She said, they never will. There always will be somebody there for you, for where you go. She said, I'm 80-something years old, and I know I got more years behind me than I got in front of me. But see, the rest of them, you may have to be there for them, but you're the only one I won't ever have to worry about. See, I know you got somebody to go to. I know you got some folks to lean to. Hope has a name, and somebody said that it's called Narcotics Anonymous. Hope has a big name. It's called Narcotics Anonymous. Jimmy K, wherever you may be, God bless you, brother, because you knew what you were doing. You have created something here, boy, that nothing could ever take away from us. I say to you, who's ever in front of you, may he hold you. May he be behind you to push you. May he be beneath you to support you. May he be above you to watch over you. May his grace and blessings, may it bless you. I say that if there is a judgment day and God would give me one word to say, I would say, oh Lord, the life we live you know quite well. I think all addicts should have one foot in heaven because you know we damn sure been through hell. Thank you for letting me.